please
Yeah, I'll do that.
point it more at your face. That's fine. Actually, that's better than the other way.
All right, so Kip is out today. He had a little accident. So he won't be giving us any input today. Since we met last, we've met with Reston and Sampson twice now. I don't think we had met with them before last meeting.
June, I know.
No, we had.
Okay.
So the first meeting we had was to discuss spacing. That's the process that we're at now. And really at the first meeting, what they gave us was an overall, kind of more or less an overall square footage with some rendition drawings of some of the rooms, how they might look, but nothing specific like what kind of doors and window. We're not even close to that. Basically what they came up with is a footprint that would be about 21,000 square feet, which is about double the size of this building. And then the next meeting, we got more specifics with specific square footages for offices, meeting rooms, things like that. And that's where things got, they didn't get down to the nitty gritty in terms of doors and windows and all that stuff, but it gives us a better sense of what we're actually gonna need per office and how many offices. And we also started looking at roughly building layout. And when I say roughly, really, it means whether it's gonna be 1 or 2 floors. I'm gonna pass this drawing out, or rendition. It contains 3 options on it, and you'll notice that one of them, or one of them is a smaller footprint, and that would be a 2-story building. If we wanna make it a smaller footprint on the land and save more for, say, expansion later, we could do that. Not the one I was in favor of, but I actually, and I didn't even think about this before, but I'm now actually in favor of the one for having everything one-stop.
Would it still include a basement?
Yes, yeah, and that would be the training locker room.
Yep. Gym stuff.
Again, we're at the preliminary stage, so we haven't, we kind of went with option 2 as maybe a rough model. We're not locked into anything like that. We just kind of gave that one a look a little bit, because the traffic pattern would bring you in right where that yellow box is. I'm sorry, Jared doesn't pass it. But it would bring you in, so when you pulled up to the front door, you'd be looking at the town hall part, right? And then PD and everything around the other side. The next step that they will, that will take place, and it's about 2 weeks out, is actual placement of offices on some much larger properties. Right now, you just got a big box, so you don't have a lot.
And is that based on?
That's basically all you can do. Sorry. These are what the square footage numbers are working out to be like. You can see PD and Town Hall are both separated.
Would the back access be dedicated just for PD?
Just PD, yep. Yeah, that little road that tails off onto 1 and 20, that would be an authorized vehicle use.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that's if the state lets us cut in there for an exit. Which I didn't even think of that before, but I kind of like that layout. What we discussed, if you see the lower parking lot that exists now, it just, there's no lines on it or anything. That's gonna probably change around a little bit. It looks like kind of open and barren now. But we're really gonna have them put some lines in there so you know it's a parking lot, not just a big empty space, or, just an optics thing at this point. But it just kind of gives you, at the roughest level, of a placement of where things might go. You know what I mean? So I think that's helpful.
There's also quite a bit of, like, it's not a tiny box. We can shift it and move it around.
Yes.
In terms of
Things are movable at this point.
Yep.
The biggest focus at the moment is to get the offices in the spots that they need. Because the bigger focus is obviously to get us in on a total square footage and then see where we land on things. One of the bigger things that was discussed, and I did a little side looking of my own, but in the first meeting, we talked, because everyone wants to know price, right? We talked about everything. You know, in the first meeting, they talked about, you know, what the square footage, you know, cost per square foot is. And they threw out a very large number, almost $850 a square foot, which if you do the math, it's an $18 million building on 20,000 square feet. It's ridiculous. Then I went and talked to some builders and some people who are actually doing it in the field. So Northampton's building was just built for $372 a square foot, $8.9 million building, 25,000 square feet, which is about 4,000 square feet less than we're looking for. I talked to another builder, and he had mentioned that most of his projects in municipalities are going for about $250 to $300 a foot. So those are good numbers for us, because I'd like to keep it under a double-digit building, you know. And to do that, we got to keep it probably under $450 a square foot. That's the range that we're looking at.
Yeah, I would have said if you had said 400, I would have said that sounds conservative, but a little high. 800.
Right, 800 and I did the math immediately. I go, we got to get out. You know, I was like, I don't want any part of that.
I'm in the wrong business.
Trailer.
Yes, so it's significantly different, and we're not at that yet, but I just want you guys to know there's drastically different reporting numbers in what square footages are. Even if you do just a general Google search, it says 250 to 800.
Yeah, yeah, 800 sounds.
That sounds like we're building stuff out of gold.
That's Taj Mahal.
That's big, that's gold shower curtains and stuff.
Yeah.
Did they differentiate how much of the 21,000 square foot is PD versus?
He has, Jared's got something for you right there. If you look at what Jared's thing has.
It's about 8,000 square feet for the town office, and the rest is PD.
I like how that separates like existing and new too, so you can see, because it's a pretty.
Well, it sees what your growth is,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty significant growth.
You know, some of them are, like mine isn't that big of an office to grow, Karen's is, because there's more of a necessity to change the lake, you know?
So the only difference between the orientations is just how they lay out the building blocks, like the
Essentially,
square
yes.
footages are the same.
Yeah, the building box is the same, it's just
Whether
how
it's
it was
stone or-
positioned and maybe where the town hall might go in the big yellow box, and maybe where, you know what I mean?
So two kind of seems like almost like a side by side, like because the PD and town hall are side by side, which is something I think you talked
Kind of what I was envisioning, yes.
about. Yeah, I like that about the option two.
Yeah, yeah, I think I do like the idea of having kind of like the public facing and then the PD side.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's kind of how it is now,
Separation.
but it's separated even more now by elevation, but and this will be flat, obviously. So you'll have less of a separation, but there'll still be some.
It also allows the parking to be shared with the field space and the
Yeah.
BRC.
Yeah, how did they establish the parking? Is that some of that from the charrette and everything about how much?
I don't believe so, no. I think that they just placed it in looking at where all the ball fields are and all the property that we own for the rec is. And I think they just kind of made a semi-educated guess on where they might go.
So it's roughly the same number of parking stalls, just
Location.
Different layout.
location.
And obviously what that map doesn't show is the new road that's been cut in over by the ball field.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are they still gonna use this kind of open area for like a drop-off circle? Like, what's the
Not really
traffic
sure.
flow?
I'm not sure yet. I have to work that part out. Because that doesn't show, remember a kid had or Kip rather, had proposed an access road to, after you come into the,
Yeah, coming out over.
yeah, right, the
parallel.
septic area,
Mhm.
which I don't think that they knew about, so they didn't draw it in there. Which is kind of good, because I like, kind of like what they did a little bit. But I still might like that access road, I'm not sure yet.
If, and this is more like a 5 or 10 year plan, obviously, and it's also up to the state. I know there had been talk about putting a rotary at the top of the hill.
Did we mention that to them? That's gonna involve the state too, so.
No, but I was more saying if the state ever decides to do that, will any of this be blocking that, or would we just kind of
Nope.
reconfigure? Okay.
No, it would just tail into our access road right there, that would be authorized personnel only, and now it would be, you know.
Crowley comes out over here.
Or I guess, well, that's like a fantasy a decade away.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at with them, and they're about another 2 weeks out with any new information on layouts. So they're progressing, like we'd like them to now, which is a good thing.
This could be like secured.
Yeah. Yeah, they showed it on one of,
That's what we talked about, you know,
they showed it on one of the other options where it was double gated.
yeah.
I think it was on this one. Yeah, they got a gate here. So you could do the same thing.
Yep.
So it's, kind of nice.
Yeah, no, it'd be nice. That's where we're at with Weston and Sampson. Karen, you were at both of those meetings, anything to add on that? Anybody have
No.
any other questions?
They said the next step would just be
Placement of
the
rooms.
and the geotech borings. What he wanted to do next, but that's outside of our current contract.
Yes.
Would it be possible for us to get digital copies of these? Or just
He's
copies?
supposed to send them to me, I just haven't received them
Okay.
yet. Send him an email to remind him. Because we just met with them on yesterday. So,
Was there anything in the PD facility space? Like we've gone over before, like holding and juvenile separation, was that all, like, as far as like the non-office side?
would
of
that be
PD?
taken care of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be all we plan
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, when we do and that'll be taken care of when we do the placement of the rooms. Definitely. Just to give you an update on where we are with the current building too. Does anybody have any more questions on this?
Mm-mm.
Helpful.
So there's currently a mitigation project that's gonna need to be addressed for downstairs. There was some additional things found in the walls and the air quality down there that is, I think, a direct correlation to some health issues that are going on. So the town's gonna have to manage that fairly quickly, so everybody knows what's going on with that.
The select board gave you permission last week to
Yeah,
spend
no,
whatever you need to, so.
so that's gotta get done downstairs, just, you know. It doesn't really have a big bearing on this project, but we should know what's going on with this building too, because we'd probably have to fix stuff like that anyway if we were to sell the building, so it would,
Mhm.
whatever we're doing now will probably help out down the road if we've gotta sell it. If we get to that point.
I have Primex coming,
Oh yeah, we have
For-
Primex coming, it's a Tuesday?
the 30th, yeah.
Primex is coming to do a facilities use of the whole building, it'll be police and upstairs town hall. I've used them before for that, we've used them in MRI. They come in and they'll do almost like a needs assessment, sort of, kind of, but they'll also point out deficiencies and recommendations to the town. These are always a double-edged sword to have these folks in your building, because if they recognize items and they say you should do it and then you don't and something happens, you certainly may or may not open yourself up to some liability issues. But I think the building's old enough and we know that there are deficiencies throughout, so that this shouldn't be a problem for us, because we already recognize the need for a new building. I think if anything, it should help us. They're gonna point out some obvious things that we are all aware of, and they might pick some things that are not so obvious too. A lot of what they pick up in, on these is layout and storage. They pick up a lot of that. It makes sense though, I guess.
And it's just included, they're not gonna charge us for it.
Right. Questions, comments on that? We had a public meeting last Monday. I only had 2 people come, 3 people, so it wasn't, you know, the original one was a bunch of people. Now we got 2, so we'll keep having them every month. I don't want people not to have access to the information, but at some point they have to choose whether or not they want the information. That's kind of where we're at in a nutshell.
Do we want to prepare stuff for night out to like have a informational?
I'm hoping to get something that we
Just
can
even
put
if
a,
it's
that we can put a
adaptable,
table out.
Just,
Yeah.
I mean, just a
Yes,
easel board or something, just because I
Yep.
mean, I know it's outside, but even if it was a fact sheet to hand out, so people can kind of take
Yep.
away.
yes, exactly.
Or a postcard with directing.
Yeah, something, yeah, sending them to the website or QR code.
Yeah, something like that. That'd be good.
You said that's Tuesday.
The 6th, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so it's coming up in a couple weeks.
It's already almost here.
Yeah, it's coming right up. Does anybody else have anything? Been kind of quiet because we've been meeting with them, so a lot of it is just waiting on what they're gonna do at this point. In terms of their speed with which they're getting, and they're getting it to us now anyway. 'Cause I think there was another guy, he brought an architect yesterday. He said he knew he would work.
Oh, yeah. Barnes, JV Barnes.
He said the same. But that's what I got right now.
In terms of feeling ready for town meeting, do you feel like we're on good track to be ready to?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Because we're gonna get a lot of information from them over the next few weeks, and I don't think that, you know, I mean, the biggest concern with the public is obviously gonna be price. There's really nothing else they're gonna look at. Yeah, the biggest thing that we're concerned with obviously is price for the voters. But no, I think we'll be in good shape to be able to present what we need to for a vote at town meeting, yeah.
Did they speak to if the building utilities are shared, PD and town hall, so it's like dual purpose, like everything for both sides of the house?
We didn't talk about that, but I can't imagine,
I would assume it would be.
I would think it would be.
Well, I'm just wondering, because we talked back in May about the potential for having to think about like apportioning the project into phases, or one concern over stacking was like you build the second floor but you don't fit it out.
Right.
So this is like option 2 you're adjacent to, so I guess that'd be some thought.
Is it, yeah, is it like, it's a portion of it just a shell?
Yeah, some of it just a shell that's not built out because your interior, I mean, your cost per square foot is mostly gonna be, the slab is the slab.
Right.
You wouldn't
Yeah,
necessarily-
we didn't talk about holding off on any build outs
Yeah,
and shell.
Just how modular, I guess how modular could it become? That was
Right.
it.
We
If
needed-
price is like.
But if they also built a footprint so that it could accommodate a second floor if an add-on is necessary in the future, we can certainly think
Yeah.
about that.
That's like,
Because they, obviously you can't do that with this building. You can't
Yeah.
go up. But when under construction, if you plan on a second floor, it doesn't necessarily mean you gotta put one on there, but at least set the ground for a second. Any other comments on that? Any input from the public?
No, I'm gonna miss this because I was a little bit late. So when this was originally proposed back on the North Street, the cost was like 3.6 million. The first came on, it was 25, and then it was 8, and then it was 10. What is the ballpark?
All of those. It's probably not gonna be 3 or 4.
It's probably gonna be 10 or 11, right?
Somewhere in that vicinity, I would guess, yes. That 3.7 was generated back in, that was the number, was generated back in 2019, and they could have never anticipated the inflation growth rate of 23 back in 19. That's why that 3.7 is kind of.
It doesn't matter.
No.
But, so are you also, like, heard, you mentioned the side-by-side option. Are you also just pricing out if you only did that one side? Like you did the PD side?
Right, I don't know if we're there yet. I guess if you deduce just square footage, that would give you a good separation.
Or
Price.
13 versus 8?
Yeah, but I don't know about that. And we did talk to them about that, and that is a number that we'd like to be able to work with.
I would just.
Sure,
No,
yeah.
what's in the basement?
So like,
Okay.
in my mind, having,
Yeah, as soon as these are emailed to me, I will put them out.
Those are just,
I
I
asked
would
for,
just, it'd be good to know if this is all.
of course,
I think the plan was this
Absolutely.
all to be in the basement.
Absolutely,
And if
yeah, please do.
town hall
You can have my copy if you want. Yeah, and again, just remember, these are all preliminary.
You could always
Nothing
build it.
approved or anything like that.
Prices, independent.
I guess if they're
You know, it'd probably just.
Oh, gotcha.
Wouldn't some of this, like you would need 2 kitchens,
Leave it very vague.
I got it.
I guess it would just been.
Yes.
right? Like.
Of course, yeah,
instead of
I'm happy to.
restrooms
Yeah, as soon as they're done looking at it.
you have some-
Text or anything? Sure. 21,000. I think it's around 8 and 13, but it's in that.
No.
About 5 and 5. Yeah, this building is around 10. Somewhere around there. I mean, we've got some non-usable space too. So yeah, but that's a good guess.
Yes, and then I heard you say that they, the company that you're dealing with,
Weston Simpson, yeah.
they're suggesting to you what size offices you need, et cetera, and stuff like that.
Well, we're working together.
Wouldn't the people that are here, I'll just use parents as an example, I've got 50 square feet in here now, but I project that I need 75 square feet.
Yeah, yeah.
But the company might come in and say, well, typically, administrative assistant has 100 square feet. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what we actually did yesterday. We went through each office. And a matter of fact, that example was used with Karen because she looked at the initial and said, this might not work. So they came back yesterday with a change. So that's what we're doing right now. Is we're configuring appropriate square footage for offices and spaces. So like a good portion of that increase in the police size will be a training room, right? So we're talking about training room size. For our police training. Teaching or groundwork or anything like that, physical fitness training, things like that. So that's where we're looking. So that's some of the growth that you'll see in the PD, but that's what we're doing in the process right now, is what you just described. Yes.
Are you also doing space big enough for?
I don't think this building would support it. It would be a very, very big building, and I don't think the return on all that space would be that great. But I thought somewhere, and here, maybe you can offer something on this. I thought somewhere there was talk of a gymnasium. Was that part of?
That's nowhere.
Well, again, I'm just throwing
There
out.
is a 4 times a year.
Well, that's what I mean. The return on a building that size for
So
4 times a year wouldn't be. It would be great to have. Don't get me wrong. If we had our own election, what would we do with it the rest of the year?
I think, so what
You know,
you're getting to is what we talk about.
Any other comment?
Shared space.
Super.
But like,
Anything
why
else
is
for the
this
good of
Motion
the
to
order?
adjourn.
100 people
What?
room?
I said motion to adjourn.
Well, we gotta pick dates next month. That's what I'm looking at right now. How about we do the 12th as a public meeting and
That's the Q&A.
Q&A for
Yes.
the forum? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Forum on the 12th and then the meeting on the 20th. Does that work for everybody? So actually, the forum will be the 12th at 6 p.m. here. At 1:30 p.m. The 20th is the meeting that you're at now. The public forum will be the Monday before. Yes, sir. What?
Here.
Yeah.
We'll put them on the calendar.
Perfect.
What time's the night?
What was that motion?
What's that? What time's the night?
Motion to adjourn at 1:56.
All right.
I mean, people are gonna
Yeah.
So move. We are adjourned.
Second.